great players, they have a great organization, and you tell them one thing, baby.
What is good, Raider Nation? It's your boy Raider Alex back with yet another video for you guys. Anybody that is new to the channel, you guys love Raiders related content just like this, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. That being said, let's jump right into it. The Las Vegas Raiders should have a busy offseason all around, but especially on the defensive side of the football, which is a huge need for this team moving forward. The Raiders are projected to have approximately a little over $50 million in cap space in this offseason, and also will have a total of around 11 draft picks, which includes their comp picks, and the Raiders could potentially still acquire even more draft picks if they are able to land a trade for veteran quarterback Derek Carr. So needless to say, the Raiders have a lot of resources to use in this offseason that we can put towards the defensive side of the football. So in this video, I'll be going over what moves I think we need to make and address in the offseason in terms of the defensive side of the football. So first, focusing on free agency, we need to solidify the defensive line, specifically the interior. The Raiders already have a dominant defensive end in Max Crosby, a guy who has shown us that he can consistently get pressure, get after the quarterback, and who this year was able to record 12.5 sacks. The Raiders need to focus on solidifying the interior of the defensive line, and there's one player in this free agent market who would be a day one starter and an instant game changer for the Raiders, and that is defensive tackle Daron Payne from the Washington Commanders. Daron Payne is 6'3", 320 pounds, and Daron Payne is coming off an absolutely dominant season, recording 11.5 sacks from the defensive tackle position. That is just absolutely insane. Daron Payne is a strong, powerful, aggressive defensive tackle and would instantly upgrade this defensive line, and he has shown that he has the ability to consistently get pressure up the middle on the quarterback. So really, the Raiders need a defensive tackle just like this who can be able to generate pressure in the interior of the defensive line, something which the Raiders have been lacking for years. I mean, really, if we look back, and the last time we had a decent pass rusher up the middle was I don't know, maybe a guy like Richard Seymour, and that was over 10 years ago. The Raiders need to create pressure up the middle. That way opposing quarterbacks can't just step up in the pocket when our defensive ends are able to create pressure on the ends. Now, the biggest obstacle when it comes to Daron Payne will be his cost. He will likely cost a lot of money to sign. According to Spot Track, his market value would be approximately $19.4 million. And I know what you're thinking, that is a lot of money, but when it comes to defensive tackles, especially ones that can get pressure after the quarterback, it is very hard to get those type of players in the NFL draft. It's just hard to come by players that can be that dominant on the defensive tackle position. They don't grow on trees. Now, as long as Daron Payne stays around that range, around 18, 19, 20 million dollars, as long as he is in that ballpark, as long as he's not demanding something crazy like $25 million per year, look, I would definitely consider bringing this guy in. As I mentioned, the Raiders will have a little bit over $50 million in cap space after they get rid of Derek Carr's contract, so they should be able to afford a guy like Daron Payne. Ultimately, Payne is the one player I would definitely want to do whatever it takes to bring him in. He's the one guy I'm willing to open the checkbook for, because if the Raiders can solidify this defensive line, it will just make the job of everyone else on defense that much easier. The Raiders really need to build their teams from the inside out on offense and on defense. You need to build the trenches, and then after you secure your weapons on the outside, which in this particular case would be like the secondary, the safeties, cornerbacks, etc. So I'd much rather the Raiders spend the necessary assets to fix the D-line over spending big on a more splashy signing like star secondary player safety Jessie Bates from the Cincinnati Bengals. Look, Jessie Bates is a fantastic safety. He'd be a great addition to our secondary, no doubt about it. But the way I look at it, even if you get one of the best players in the secondary, if we can't create pressure on a consistent basis from the defensive line, if we can't stop the run, then the secondary players will suffer. Also, it works the other way around. If you have a dominant defensive line, the opposing quarterbacks will not have enough time to really throw the ball downfield, to scan the field. So I would like the Raiders to sign Daron Payne and also bring back defensive tackle Andrew Billings. Andrew Billings to me was a pleasant surprise and was good against the run and should be a fairly cheap option, and he's already familiar with Patrick Graham's system. I would definitely look into bringing back Andrew Billings. Now, the second thing that the Raiders need to do is they need to bring in a linebacker who's capable of being the leader of that defense, of that linebacker group, and can start from day one next year. We need a true 3-down linebacker on this roster. The top linebacker on my radar would be Tampa Bay's Lavonte David. He should be a good fit for Patrick Graham's system. He can be an instant impact player for our linebacker core, and he's a true 3-down linebacker. I don't think he should cost a whole lot compared to some other linebackers out there, like a Tremaine Edmonds. But if Lavonte David signs, he would instantly be our top linebacker. And if Tom Brady also signs with this team, look, there's a chance he may want to follow Tom Brady over here in Las Vegas. Maybe he'd be willing to take a better deal to join the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders also have an advantage with no state income tax, but according to Spot Trek, his market value would be right around $10 million, but he is getting a little bit up there in age, about to be 33 years old next coming season. So if you sign him, it would ideally be to a short-term contract as well. And like I said, who knows, maybe he'd be willing to take a more team-friendly deal to continue to play with TB12. Now, those two guys, or should I say those two positions specifically, are the ones I would love to see the Raiders fix in this free agency period. Bring in guys that are ready to start from day one, can make an instant impact on your team. I would not mind if we spend big money on those positions to fix. And when it comes to the secondary though, look, I would bring in veteran players on cheap short-term contracts. And also, let's not forget, we can go heavy in the draft on defense to acquire young cheap players on that side of the football. And that's the third thing that the Raiders need to do in this offseason to help fix the defense, and that is invest heavy in the draft on that side of the football. The Raiders will have at least 11 draft picks, and possibly we can even get more if we can trade Derek Carr for some draft picks. I also do not rule out the possibility of our general manager Dave Ziegler trading back in the first round to acquire even more draft picks, which I've always been a fan of trading back, especially if a guy that you don't love is there. If there's not a player there that you think can transform your franchise in the first, look, trade back and load up on even more draft picks. So the Raiders need to bring in a premier defensive tackle who can get to the quarterback, a day one starter on linebacker, and in the draft, if the Raiders have 11 picks, I say we need to invest at least 8 of those 11 picks on the defensive side of the football. And some interesting prospects I would consider in the first round for the Las Vegas Raiders would be cornerback Cam Smith out of South Carolina. I love the way he plays. I love how he's looked on tape. And also linebacker Drew Sanders is also an interesting option in the first round if we choose to go on the defensive side of the football. But regardless, Raider Nation, it'll be a busy offseason, and it'll be interesting to see what players we bring in to fix this defense, because if we're going to be honest, the Raiders need players at every level of the defense, and we still need to bring back some key players on offense like Josh Jacobs and bring in a new quarterback. So there'll be a lot to talk about, but let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think we need to do to fix this defense. Comment down below. But with that being said, Raider Nation, that's all I have for you guys in today's video. Anybody that is new to the channel, you guys love Raiders related content just like this, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.